two wrestlers have a match on pay-per-view, it's either meant to prolong or end a feud, and this could happen at any pay-per-view, whether it be SummerSlam or a B-show like Payback, just as long as it extends a feud or cuts it off. You could extend a pay-per-view, you could extend a rivalry just about anywhere, but the best place to end a feud, in my opinion, has to be WrestleMania. It's the biggest show of the year for any wrestling company, and it's the ultimate place to get revenge on someone that's done you wrong over the past year or so. Most of the time, this seems to be the case, but other times, it isn't. And sometimes the feud that is a WrestleMania-worthy feud never gets to the show of shows in the first place, and it's relegated to a B show like Battleground. Spoilers. That's what today's video is all about. Today, we're going to look at 5 pay-per-view matches that were WrestleMania worthy on paper, but ended up being moved to some other show for one reason or another. I'm Jackson Haney from Insane Internet Wrestling, and here are 5 pay-per-view matches that should have happened at a WrestleMania. Number 5, The Rock vs. Triple H, Backlash 2000. Now this match is low on the list because it was originally booked both behind the scenes and on camera. Let me explain that because that sounds confusing. See, The Rock won the 2000 Royal Rumble, and Triple H was WWF Champion going into WrestleMania 2000. The match was set, Rock versus Triple H, WWF title. Then, the Big Show came in, said he won the 2000 Royal Rumble. In fairness, he actually did. And then he was inserted into the match, making it a triple threat. And then Mick Foley came in for reasons, when originally the 4th man of that match was supposed to be Chris Jericho, which is why Chris Jericho was on promotional material for WrestleMania 2000. But Mick Foley was inserted instead of Jericho, who wrestled in a triple threat with Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle, and it was really good, I guess. But then there was a McMahon that was added to every corner of the match. Vince McMahon in The Rock's corner, Shane McMahon in The Big Show's corner, Linda McMahon in Mick Foley's corner, for some reason, and Stephanie McMahon in Triple H's corner. It was really weird, really overbooked. You know, as a whole, WrestleMania 2000 was just really dumb. There was one singles match on the entire show, and that match was a cat fight between the Cat and Terry Runnels. Anyway, the main event. Yes, it was really overbooked. It was changed a lot over the course of a few months, and the actual original planned main event, the one-on-one match, did happen at Backlash a month later, and you know what? It was great. Part of the reason why Backlash 2000 is one of the best pay-per-views in WWE history. The year 2000 as a whole was probably the best year in the company's history, but the only out-and-out bad pay-per-view that year was WrestleMania itself. Gee, wonder why. It would have been a lot better if the original main event had went on. Now, what would you have done with the Big Show and Mick Foley? Have them face each other again, like the year before, only this time, have it have a finish. Anyway, if the one-on-one match between The Rock and Triple H went down at WrestleMania 2000, then the pay-per-view might have been slightly more enjoyable. Number 4, The Undertaker vs. Kurt Angle, No Way Out 2006. The streak was a fun thing, wasn't it? A 6'10" Texan dressed in all black, pointing at someone and saying, "Hey, you can't beat me." Rinse repeat for about 20 years, that's the streak for you. I kid, but seriously, 21 WrestleManias, not including 10 and 2000 because he missed those due to injury. That's how long the Undertaker streak lasted. 21 straight WrestleManias, starting in 1991 and ending in 2013. 21 matches, 21 victories, undefeated for his entire career at WrestleMania, that is, at least until Brock Lesnar came in and ate The Undertaker like a sweet potato at WrestleMania 30. However, there was plans to end the streak years before WrestleMania 30. Several names have been rumored as people who could have ended the streak, including guys like Roman Reigns, Mark Henry, and bafflingly, Wade Barrett. But also, there was a one plan back in 2006 at WrestleMania 22 to have The Undertaker go up against World Heavyweight Champion Kurt Angle. According to Sexy Kurt, Mr. Frightening Lightning was eager to do it as long as he got a Stone Cold Classic match during his WrestleMania streak. And Undertaker considered putting Kurt Angle over to end the streak just as long as he got his WrestleMania Classic. Vince McMahon and Angle himself vetoed this idea, with Angle stating that the streak should have been eternal, and in fairness, it should have been. Taker and Angle did end up having their match a few months before WrestleMania at No Way Out 2006, in what was undoubtedly the best match of that year. So what did they do at Mania? Well, Angle defended the World Heavyweight title in a triple threat against Randy Orton and Rey Mysterio. Fun fact, that match was supposed to go for 19 minutes, but it ended up going 9 because Vince McMahon and Shawn Michaels went too long, aka Vinny's Revenge, and The Undertaker faced Mark Henry in a casket match. And you know what? It was fun. Number 3, Lita versus Trish Stratus, Survivor Series 2004. In late 2004, WWE did not take its women's division seriously. For the majority of the early 2000s and part of the late 90s, women were mainly used as eye candy, managers, and then wrestlers. They were the bottom of the totem pole in terms of divisions. Well, 2 women looked at that trend and thought, screw that, and changed all of that. Well, tried to at least, and they partially succeeded. Those 2 women were Lita and Trish Stratus. Their feud in late 2004 and early 2005 is, in my opinion, the best women's feud in wrestling history. That is, at least until the 4 Horsewomen have their fatal 4-way again, and it'll break the wrestling world. Anyway, that's besides the point. Their feud in late 2004 was pretty decent going into Survivor Series 2004, but the match itself wasn't. If I remember correctly, I don't know this for sure, I think it ended in a double DQ, and people thought, that's not good. So WWE booked a rematch. This rematch was booked for the main event of a December episode of Monday Night Raw. Never before had women main evented Raw. This was the first time in the history of WWE, and it was brilliant. Lita won in front of a hot crowd, and it was magnificent. She held the title throughout the rest of 2004, losing it, I think, back to Trish at New Year's Revolution 2005. However, there was a plan to have those 2 collide in one giant blow-off stipulation-style match at WrestleMania 21, ending their feud in the biggest way possible on the biggest stage possible. But it didn't happen. If I remember correctly, there was no women's championship match at WrestleMania 21, which was kind of sad. Trish ended up having her women's championship match the year later against Mickie James. You know what? Botched ending aside, it was pretty good. Lita, on the other hand, never had a WrestleMania match again. In fact, she's only had one WrestleMania match, and that was at WrestleMania 18, in a triple threat that involved Trish and Jazz. Jazz won, in case you were wondering. Number 2, Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan, Survivor Series 2018. All the matches on this list so far have had one thing in common. The WrestleMania in question was close to the actual pay-per-view that the match occurred at. This one's different, because the WrestleMania that I'm thinking of happened 3 years prior to this match. Let me give you some backstory. Going into Survivor Series 2018, Brock Lesnar was set to face AJ Styles in a champion versus champion match that WWE loves to do at Survivor Series. They had faced off the year before, and you know what? It was pretty good. Brock had lost the championship once, but then won it back at Crown Jewel and was champion once again going into the pay-per-view. But Styles had held his championship since last year's Survivor Series. He was the first WWE champion of 1 year since CM Punk. And he was in a feud with Daniel Bryan going into Survivor Series. No one thought that they would pull a title change just before a Big 4 pay-per-view, but they did, and they also pulled a Daniel Bryan heel turn. Daniel Bryan was now WWE champion and would face Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series. And you know what? The match was brilliant. It's one of my favorite matches ever. And while that match was spectacular, I would have had it happen at a different place. See, 2015 was not a good year for WWE. Daniel Bryan didn't win the 2015 Royal Rumble, but Roman Reigns did win the 2015 Royal Rumble. People liked Daniel Bryan. People didn't like Roman Reigns. They had those two face each other at Fastlane. Reigns won. People still didn't like him. Then Brock, who was WWE champion, faced Reigns at WrestleMania. Rollins cashed in, and it was a weird mess. A good mess, but a weird mess. Here's what I would have done. I would have had Daniel Bryan, the obvious choice, win the 2015 Royal Rumble and go on to face Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. Now, in that match, you probably don't want to German suplex Daniel Bryan all that much because this was close to his retirement and he had only wrestled a part-time schedule, in a sense, leading up to this because of his numerous injuries, and he would retire about a year later. So you don't want to suplex Daniel Bryan all that much, but I would still have Bryan win. Now that begs the question. The original match was Lesnar versus Reigns. So what would Roman do? Here's what Roman would do. Number 1, the Shield Triple Threat Battleground 2016. If any of the matches on this list screamed WrestleMania main event, it would definitely be this one. The best faction of the last decade, all together in separate angles, because one man sold his soul to the dark side. Rollins betrayed Ambrose and Reigns, joined the Authority, and after the breakup of the Shield, things got weird. Seth Rollins got a new theme, a new character, and a new direction. Dean Ambrose got a new theme, a new character, and a new direction. Roman Reigns kept his theme, kept his character, and his direction was the main event scene. Ambrose and Rollins were directly affected by the breakup of the Shield, having a months-long feud that, you know what, despite all the kabuki in the briefcase and mannequin dolls will give you, it was a pretty good feud. Roman Reigns, on the other hand, was not affected by the breakup at all. He was just going straight into the championship picture and forgetting about his two Shield mates. It was really weird. What if he didn't forget? What if he was the most affected by this breakup? What if he stayed with Dean and they attacked Seth, but going into 2015, Reigns announced that, well, Dean was kind of at fault too, because he was the one walking out of matches because he was frustrated. And Roman takes out his frustration on both Seth and Dean. This would lead to a Shield triple threat at WrestleMania 31. That's what Roman Reigns would do. Now, this match has happened. For the WWE Championship, in fact. At Battleground. A random Battleground because of a random brand split and a random Dean Ambrose victory. Now, it was a year too late. It was weirdly booked because Roman Reigns was suspended for most of it, only coming back for Battleground. Yeah, I mean, the match was fine. The video package was spectacular, but Battleground? Of all places? This is the most WrestleMania-worthy match that you have come across in a long time, and you put it on a random B-show pay-per-view, which is close to a Big Four, never forget, but you don't have it happen at your biggest show of the year in front of potentially 100,000 people, or 70,000 at the least. If any match on this list deserved to happen at a WrestleMania, it's definitely the Shield triple threat. And that's our list. Thanks for watching. Did we miss anything out? If we did, tell us about it in the comments section down below. Don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe, and you can follow me on Twitter here. I'm Jackson Haney from Insane Internet Wrestling, and I will see you soon.